Hey everyone, welcome back to the Coop with Meyer Hatchery, where we talk all things poultry in hopes of educating chicken keepers and inspiring future flock owners. I'm Tessa.
And I'm Jeff. And today we're talking about using the whole bird.
Now, did you know that you can save $5 off your next Meyer Hatchery purchase by entering the coupon code TheCoop2022 at checkout? Give it a try. We get asked a lot of questions about meat birds, especially about processing for the first time. But today we're going to talk about how to use every aspect of the bird.
Not just chickens, though. Remember, a lot of people raise ducks and turkeys, quail, geese, pheasants, and other game birds for meat as well. You'd think that it's the same for each type of poultry, but each bird has its benefits and uses that are unique.
So let's start with game birds. That's going to be your quail, your pheasant, guinea, and partridges. Aside from the meat, what other uses can these birds have?
Well, even with the meat, it's different for between the breeds. The smaller game birds like quail and partridge are typically skinned rather than plucked. And if they're plucked, it's usually by hand because the skin on these birds is tender and can tear.
Yeah, I guess that would happen. They're young when they're processed. Depending on the breed, it could be 7 weeks for quail and up to 16 weeks for the partridges. Guineas are usually processed a little after 2 months.
So you got the meat on the bone for most of these breeds because of their size. Cutting the meat from the bone would just result in waste, and we don't want that. Keep them whole.
Right. Another reason a lot of people don't use a plucker on game birds is that they use the feathers. Pheasant feathers can be used in all kinds of jewelry or on hats and other crafts. Quail feathers are much smaller, but the color variants can be gorgeous and can be used for lots of crafts too.
Feathers from a lot of different types of poultry can be saved. Rooster feathers, especially incandescent ones, are used in fly fishing ties. The long silvery saddle feathers are perfect in length for more elaborate ties. People will buy pellets with feathers intact just for this. Seems like duck feathers would be the ultimate fishing lure type because they're more water resistant, but I bet they're not long enough or thin enough to be flexible. Most people use duck and goose featherings for stuffing, pillows, comforters, stuffed animals, and one on my bed.
Do you know what I read the other day?
No, I don't.
Okay, get this. So feathers are full of keratin, which is the same thing that's in our fingernails, hair, and wool or hooves. If we started breaking down the feathers that are left over from commercial broilers, they could turn them into something similar to wood pulp, and it could be used for absorption in diapers. We could cut down 25% of the wood pulp we currently use for diapers alone. I think that's incredible. I hope scientists of the world keep working towards that.
Next thing I know, you're going to be sewing up feather filled diapers.
Just because you said that, I might. I'll be sure to pair it with my pheasant hat.
Ducks and geese are truly great homestead birds because they have excellent meat and the feathers are used for all kinds of things around the house.
Plus, the birds are bigger in general, so you're getting more meat and more feathers per bird. Waterfowl typically have fat deposits right under their skin rather than throughout the meat. So you can harvest the fat separately to use in cooking and then roast the meat separate for a meal.
In some Asian cultures, it's not uncommon to eat the bills as well. Once we step outside the United States, our comfort zone, you'll find it much more acceptable to use the parts of the bird that we here turn our nose up on.
Well, I turn up my nose to the waist. I think I would try it. Would you?
The only thing I ate different was when I was a high schooler in the Philippines. I did the teenage do anything that as an adults we look back on, scratch our heads about and wonder what we were thinking. I was on a bus in Manila and they had vendors walking by offering all sorts of stuff. One had a large egg. I was hungry, so why not?
Oh my gosh.
So I tried what is called and what is a delicacy in the Philippines, balut. Now, balut is a fertilized duck egg that has been incubated for about 18 days, then steamed. So I did that once, and that was enough
Oh my
because
gosh.
the feather stuck in my teeth, and I was kind of grossed out.
Whew. All right. Well, we are getting into the more odd uses of poultry, so we may as well dive in. So, when we're processing, there's some things that you can't consume. And to be honest, Jeff, I don't think I would consume what you did.
No,
so,
yeah.
so, while the innards might seem like waste, they can be added to the compost and they can create a rich, beautiful soil with time.
The feet are parts of the bird that often get discarded, but they can be eaten. You can even find chicken feet in your local grocery store every so often. Most people trim the nails and then fry them for a meal. Not me. Some people remove the outer layer of the skin, but that depends on your preparation.
Well, how do you eat them? Do you not remove the nails?
I don't eat them.
You don't eat them. Okay. Well, what about his dog treats? Dried poultry feet are great snacks for your furry friends because they're so good for joint health. Probably same reasons that they're great for dogs is why they're great for humans too. If you can feel rain coming in your knee, you could probably use a chicken foot meal.
The organs of these animals are good for eating too. Chicken livers are pretty common, but you can cook down the gizzard, heart, and lungs.
Oh man, my grandma always used to run to get the giblets out of the Thanksgiving gravy. It's not my cup of tea, but I made liver pate a few months ago and it wasn't bad. I did see a video of someone eating a fried chicken head, and that was a bit much for me.
You know, we have to get used to knowing where our food comes from. If you can understand the life the animals lived and how it was cared for, what it ate, then you can appreciate every part of it for something around your homestead.
Honoring the life. I love that, Jeff, and I agree. I don't think I'm going to be personally eating a head, though, so I'll save mine for you.
So, the reason we want to use the whole bird is there is no waste. The feed you bought to raise the animal fed the whole animal, not just the part that make chicken nuggets. A good way to ease into this whole area is to use parts that might be cringy as pet food. Dogs can benefit from a diet of fresh meat too, and then it's not waste if it's been consumed or utilized.
Can't argue with that. So, did we cover every part of the bird?
I think so. When in doubt, throw it in a soup pot to make stock or bone broth. If it's not something you're comfortable directly consuming, at least take advantage of the nutrients it has to offer.
And even though it's not part of the bird itself, the eggs are, of course, the perfect food for so many, animals included, and the shells can be used in crafting or as a calcium additive back to the flock.
Just to remind everyone, there are parts you should not directly consume. If it was part of the digestive tract, you do not want to cook it. That's the stuff that goes right into the compost. We don't consume this because of the risk of contamination from their waste.
The only other thing I can think of is perhaps the oil gland that's near the tail of your bird. If you're skinning your bird, that will leave with the skin. Otherwise, you'll need to cut that gland out of the tail area, which is a delicacy to some. It's super fatty and apparently delicious. People do eat the oil gland, but be prepared for it to taste like the feistiest rooster you've ever had.
No, thanks. I'll save that for the compost.
And with that, we thank you for listening to the Coop. Be sure to subscribe. And if you'd be so kind, drop us a review.
Do you have a poultry related question or a topic you would like us to cover? We want to hear from you.
Send us an email to podcast@meyerhatchery.com.